Hey, good morning. This is Darren Canavan, the Propman, coming to you live from Canavan Realty here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. All right, this video is kind of going to combine a couple of things that have happened over the last few weeks. Had a seminar, had a couple of different classes with property management, so bear with me. It might be a little longer than normal, but I'll try to keep it under at least 5 or 6 minutes. All right, we had a seminar from Miss Jean Hobbs with the North Carolina Real Estate Commission came down and spoke to us over a few hours, ranging in topics from assisted pets to late fees to how to evict a tenant. It kind of ranged the whole gamut. And if you read General Statute 42 from North Carolina, it'll kind of give you an idea. We talked about wear and tear, pretty much everything else. Here's a highlight. I'm not going to go in depth pretty much, just to give you kind of a quick recap of what we talked about. She said 50% of the complaints that North Carolina Real Estate Commission received are property management related. I don't doubt it, because as a property manager, sometimes it's a fine line between us treating the tenants fairly and legally and trying to do the wishes of the owners, and sometimes we anger the tenants, sometimes we anger the owners, sometimes the tenants are happy, sometimes the owners are happy, so I could see that. Hearings are held in front of a panel, not a judge. Let's say somebody complains, they do an investigation, they find, let's say, the property manager guilty of whatever charge they were addressing the complaint with, and goes up before the panel. So it's not really a legal proceeding with a judge and stuff like that, so you'd be represented by the panel. Locks. New change for North Carolina. Locks cannot be repaired, changed, pretty much touched by a handyman or a contractor anymore. They either got to be a licensed locksmith or the property manager can do it. Just to give you a heads up, I can't run around changing locks out on all the properties, so if it comes down to that, you'll be seeing a bill from the locksmith because he is licensed to do that. You can receive partial rent and still evict. It used to be whereas the second you received any monies from a tenant that you were trying to evict, it pretty much restarted the clock on the eviction process. Well, now we can actually receive those past due monies and still proceed with the eviction. I think the thought process was, why should you be hampering the owners trying to make a living with their property just because the tenant's doing whatever they're doing? Okay, so from now on, we're going to call you up. We're going to probably ask you, hey, they brought in $350, but they still owe $600. We can receive it. Do you still want to proceed with the eviction? And then, we can go from there. Wear and tear. Ms. Hobbs probably talked about wear and tear for, I'd say, 30, 45 minutes, because the version of wear and tear that you get from people from the commission is different than what you would think being a property owner or a property manager. Being a retired Marine, my version of filthy is different than maybe somebody on the commission's version of filthy. Their version of filthy is pretty much destruction, mayhem, where my filthy version pretty much is, grease, dust, crumbs, film coating everything. So it's always a discussion, and you can get almost different kinds of ideas and opinions on it. So just keep an open mind. Pretty much, being your home, the tenant's required to live in it. They're not required to upgrade it or maintain it perfectly. They're required to live in it and not damage it. So if the tenants come in, they live in their house for a year, they pretty much pick it up, leave, they get the carpet shampooed. You know what? But according to the commission, if the ceiling fans are dusty or the blinds are dusty or the stove kind of has a little dirt in it, the fridge wasn't wiped out right, they see that as that might be something that the owner has to be responsible for. So we're going to play it by hand. Don't be surprised if you receive get a yell from us saying, hey, the house was okay, but it needs a wipe down. So pretty much a wipe down might cost around $40, $50, depending on what they consider it. A full house clean in our area might run $150, $175. It just depends on the size of the house. So just stand by. More on that. We'll have to play that out. Service animals. I talked about service animals, but if you want any more information, you can go to Google FHEO-2013-01. So that's Foxtrot Hotel Echo Oscar-2013 and that'll talk, I think that's from the Fair Housing, that'll talk about some more stuff about assisted animals, but you can see my previous video and get more out of that. Let's see, smoke alarms, something that we have to start addressing as well. From now on, a battery powered smoke alarm, when it fails, it can only be replaced by a 10-year lithium powered smoke alarm. Those tend to run $29, $39 compared to the regular battery smoke alarm, which you can get for $10 or $15. But I think the way North Carolina is thinking is, hey, at least we know for that 10-year period, and it's sealed so the tenants can't manipulate it or take the battery out. At least they know that smoke alarm is going to have power to it for, let's say, 10 years. A little bit of price, but I think it makes sense when you're talking just for the safety of your home, and of course safety is paramount to the investment of your property. CO2. If you didn't know about CO2 alarms, if you've got a fossil fuel burning heat device, you have a garage, you need to make sure there's a CO2 alarm on each floor. That's really about it. Some of you have seen that bill come across because you've left your house, you've never had one before, so that's another thing you got to worry about. Military personnel. There's a nice pamphlet that I'm going to scan and send out to all the owners that talks about what happens during the Sailors Service Relief Act. That there's a federal version, there's also a North Carolina version. They're a little bit different. The parameters are different, so it depends on how the military person, does he want to use the federal version or he doesn't want to use the state version. I'll scan that and send you guys out as well. Another thing I attended was the 19th annual State of the Community Breakfast, sponsored by Jones Onslow. Really what it did, it brought together, let's see, President of the Chamber of Commerce, Colonel Salmon, Colonel Clark from Lejeune and New River, Onslow County Schools, Sam Phillips, the mayor, City of Jacksonville. You get the point. Pretty much it was kind of like a lot of business owners, a lot of people concerned in the community. They showed up, they talked about some things. And let me address some things, especially coming from the Lejeune and Air Station side. New River adds $500 million into the community every year. I mean, $500 million is a lot of money. The population is going to increase at New River. They've been doing a lot of building. They're building some hangars. They're going to be moving some squadrons there. They've been building some base housing too. So it's not like the population comes and they immediately move out in town. The population is going to come, and a lot of them are going to be moving on New River, or they'll be moving out to TT, or they'll be moving over to Lejeune because they're building houses too. We're looking at between 6,800 and 7,500 new active duty personnel. Dependents about 6,600 to 8,400 along with them. So you're talking could be 15,000 people total moving into the area. They really didn't give a time frame, so I'm thinking within the next 5 years, once the hangars are finished, things come online. 2 new squadrons are coming. Let's see. Armstrong Marine is going to be coming to, I think, Swansboro, Cape Carteret. They're going to be building, I think, high-end yachts and things like that. So they're going to be bringing 200 jobs along with them. That should be sometime this year. There's a 35% reduction in housing permits, which means there's a 35% reduction in builders submitting new housing permits, or people trying to build their own houses compared to last year. So at least from that viewpoint, yes, the new construction is slowing down, so it's not going to affect the rental market as bad as it has in the last couple of years. Let's see. The airport's building a new terminal, and the income from sales tax will be, what is this? The income that will be saved from taxes will be 18% next year, whatever that is. Let's see else. Sergeant and below will have to move on base. If they're already currently in a lease, they can still maintain that lease. But other than that, they're still pushing for sergeants and below to go into the barracks or live on housing. For housing, there's 465 current units. 400 units are still coming. It says 5,200 total housing units will be available after the 2015. 2015 also marks where the construction on the bases will pretty much be down to minimum, because all the construction we've been seeing, are all those contracts that were approved 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago, and they've all panned out and are almost done. Second MEF headquarters is going away, so 300 billets will be disappearing, but along with the new initiative to keep people hunkered down in their base where they're at right now over a 3 to 4 year period instead of moving them every couple of years, I'm thinking that loss will get spread out amongst all the other units here at Lejeune. Deployments will be about 7,000 Marines annually, so that'll also affect, because with rentals, along with that military clause, they go on deployment, mama runs home to her mama, then they come back, they rent a house, and it just keeps on a cycle. So I don't understand it. I'm thinking you just hunker down and you guys live your lives with your husband and wives and your kids, but some people get a little frustrated, so they head home, and that's when we always get that turnover for the rental market. And MARSOC will stay fully funded. I'm sure some of you MARSOC guys or Marines are not shocked. MARSOC is pretty much, I think, going to be the forward deployed future of the Marine Corps. This is my opinion. So the more we can adjust to that, I'm thinking the bigger wars might be few and far between, but we're still the Marine Corps, so the Marines are still going to go out forward and then do their thing. Also attended a class enforcing the lease. It was a very informative class. Even though I've been doing this for a number of years, you always need to get educated every year. I mean, that'd be sad if your doctor didn't go to new classes every year and he's going off his knowledge from medical school from 20 years ago. Even though property management isn't as close to getting a medical degree, there's still laws that changes. There's still, judges that have made opinions, and there's still things we learn from each other, and especially from people. This class, enforcing the lease, was taught by Ray Burton. He's up at the property management division for the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. It was a couple-hour class, and pretty much it just went through, evictions, what you can do to the tenants, how to make sure the tenants aren't ruling you. You need to make sure you're taking charge and holding them liable, and then pretty much talking about the liability for us as property managers and owners. Let's see, from Canavan Realty, we're doing really well. We're adding new housing units every week. We're trying to improve our customer relations, not only with you guys, the owners, but also with the tenants. There's myself, there's Elizabeth, which most of you have already talked to. There's Darren Jr., which is my son. I brought him online. He's doing the inspections, and he's doing a really good job doing that. And then we also have Rhonda Mills filling in for receptionist duties. And Rhonda and Elizabeth are realtors, along with myself and Barbara Canavan, who's my wife / boss / company owner. So that's where we're at so far for 2014. If you got any questions, give me a yell, 910-355-0397, or you can get me at darren.canavan.propman@gmail.com. As always, this is Darren Canavan with Barbara Canavan Realty, coming to you from Jacksonville, North Carolina. Take care and have a great day.